How diligent are Corporal Colon's reports?
You'd have to try to get his notepad from him to really determine that in depth.
She's going to Xantha's going to sneak over and try and have a look.
Ollie's gonna just ask him if we can look at it.
Oh.
Well, it turns out
I've
that
got 7, so I'm pretty good at it.
your stealth roll, he just kind of hears your hoofs clattering on the stone uh, tiles here and looks up. Says, yeah, what do you want?
Oh, I just thought I would have a look at your report, see what you're writing about Merry Little Bad.
He, without looking away from his notebook, or without looking away from you, he continues writing something, and then he holds it up, and you can see the last sentence says, "Centaur asks Officer COL, reports. COL holds note to Centaur." It's just like line
Amazing.
by line.
I wonder if I can cause a feedback loop and make his head blow up or something.
Why are you trying to make people that I recruit have their heads explode?
No reason.
So has anyone done any kind of detect magic or arcana or religion about this place?
I don't know if I have detect magic. Just check.
We basically
I do
got
not.
here. That's as far as we got at the end of the prior session.
I can try. Sorry, go on.
So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna roll perception to see if I can find any hidden creatures or objects.
Yeah, go ahead and roll perception.
I don't
Rip.
see anything.
And
then I will roll investigation to see if I can decipher or uncover any clues about our investigation into this moss stuff.
Yeah, so looking around the room, I think you actually have. How far does your sight go? Your sight goes so you can see basically the whole thing, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see there's the 4 sarcophagi, in the far corner. You don't. So all of the other locations had a very intense scent associated with them. Um, you're not catching any of that here. Uh, Basically, this looks like a really nice and a very obviously. Uh, my brain is failing to find a word. Nicely maintained tomb. Like, there's no dust on the floor. There's no cobwebs in the ceiling. I'd say with your investigation to decipher anything, all of the frescoes on the wall look quite new. Well, not new, but like they're not old. Um, they haven't. There's no cracks. All the colors are, still quite vibrant. They're pretty good craftsmanship or artistry. Um, so, like, compared to the other locations where there were old corpses and things being possessed, this seems just like a categorically different location.
Gotcha.
I guess I can try to roll religion. Try to. Maybe not. Jesus.
So what are you trying to figure out anything specific with your religion check?
Just to see if I noticed anything more familiar about this particular tomb and where it was dedicated to or anything like that. But I think Therese has got it.
I was gonna say for both of you, definitely whoever's maintaining this tomb, kind of combined with what Lolly has found. Obviously, those 4 gods, Ilmater, Kalimvor, Saloon, and Torm are quite important to whoever is maintaining this place. There aren't any other obvious religious iconographies in here. I guess, is there anything in particular, especially Teresa or Xanthiel, that you're trying to figure out or recall about any of those gods? I'm not sure how familiar any of you are as actual people with them, much less your characters. Like your
Heard the
characters,
names pretty much.
yeah. Your characters would all know these gods, but so like Ilmater is the god of martyrs. He's usually a thin man with like red cords bound around his wrists. Usually, people who worship him are people who are actually or believe they are suffering for a reason. Selyun is the goddess of the moon and the night. Her followers are pretty broad, but generally people or things that are related to nocturnal activity. Kalimvor is maybe the most interesting one, just from a lore perspective. Kalimvor is the current god of the afterlife. And his thing is...
he's the ruler of the
Boneyard? No, not the Boneyard.
wall.
I love how there's the qualifier of he is the current god of the afterlife.
Right.
Yeah, because
does
he killed the
change.
previous one.
I know, it just makes me giggle.
So he's very much like the previous god had been very much like an evil deity. He is more neutral in that he doesn't care so much about good or evil so much as like things that are dead should stay dead, and people shouldn't fuck with the process of death and dying. Like, if it's your time, it's your time. You should pass on and go where you're supposed to go. So he's kind of a neutral, a very neutral god. His main thing that he doesn't like is probably undeath. Not a terribly big fan of it.
So kind of like Pharasma, I guess, would be closest analog I might know.
He's kind of like Pharasma, but a bit more hands-on.
I was
Yeah.
thinking more like the opposite of Teresa.
So Kalimvor is similar to Pharasma and Pathfinder. Kalimvor is the ruler of the Wall of Souls, I think, where if you're in the Fugui plane, I can't fugue, whatever
Fugue
it is.
plane.
Yeah, the fugue plane, it means that you don't have an afterlife to go to, so you go to there and you get stuck in the wall.
Oh.
Wow, that sounds
That sounds
awful.
delightful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very fucking bleak. Jesus.
God, I think I like
It is very
Pharasma
bleak.
more.
But
Yeah.
Kalimvor is a lawful neutral
Yeah.
god of death, so...
And then the last one, Torm, is I think the god of like justice and he's the fucking paladin
Yeah, I remember-
god.
Yeah, I remember him being like the fucking do-gooder god or something.
Let's see here. Let me just Torm is the true, the loyal, and the fury. He is a lawful good, I'm guessing. Lawful good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He appears as a 12-foot tall man in ancient helmless plate that is dark purple. Fascinating. His portfolio is duty, loyalty, and righteousness, and law. So anyway, those are the four gods very prominently decorating this crypt. I guess, Teresa, since you rolled quite high, is there anything specifically that you're trying to ascertain besides just kind of...
Yeah. Now, in addition to my religion roll here to see what's going on, Teresa pretty much should be very familiar with these gods, seeing that she follows Bane. And in particular, now would she be feeling anything if she were to approach the idol for Kalimvor?
So yeah, you don't feel anything as you approach it. So these are definitely like, these are frescoes. Like you don't feel any repulsion or antipathy or any... It doesn't seem like there's a divine presence that would be like, yo, you gotta step back. I guess for anybody that doesn't know, Bane is the god of basically power and tyranny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the lawful evil god of tyranny.
Yeah.
You have simply become evil. I was born evil.
I was born in the darkness. Yeah, but
would
no.
kind of give a little bit of a really as
Just,
she goes around.
just tossing shade at a fresco of Kellenbor.
Yeah.
Like it.
Because I mean, when I play evil characters, I like to desecrate altars.
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, boy. Spicy.
And Kellenbor hath smitten thee. Xanthiel needs the glowing thing, right?
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you.
Eleanor, she doesn't care so much as she does with Torm. Because Torm is the lawful good god of paladins and justice and all that shit.
Oh,
Yes.
I'd argue that both sides have some sort of merit, I think.
Next campaign, I'm just going to swap in the Pathfinder gods because I could actually engage with it more. Lamashtu bursts out of a wall.
Oh boy.
Happy times. So you guys are just kind of wandering or moving around and investigating the frescoes. Teresa, you are able to sufficiently cast shade internally or externally upon all of the various frescoes.
I will ritual cast detect magic.
Sure. I just
Since it's
realized.
range 30 feet.
I'm just going to cast Thaumaturgy to turn the lights on and off over and over again.
I'm assuming the rest of the party is sufficiently annoyed by that after a while.
Sweet.
So you, Teresa, you do detect magic. I'm just checking things to see if anything is actually magic. You say no. There does not appear to be anything magical in here, and that was about 10 minutes it takes to ritual cast that. So no, you don't. Aside from magic items the party has, you don't detect anything. I'm gonna ask a question of you guys because I can't remember. I think you guys had entered the City of the Dead at around sunset again. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Okay. So Teresa, you finish your ritual to detect magic. You don't detect anything in this space. Everybody else, well, I guess Gibbles and Lolly, while she's doing that, are you guys doing anything specific or waiting for her to finish her ritual?
Other than just investigating, looking around for clues, which we already determined that I didn't find anything, I don't think I would have been doing anything else.
So I'm going to come back to that. Gibbles, do you do anything or in particular?
No, I'm just looking around like everyone else.
So I'll say, Lolly, you do well. Teresa, and then I'm kind of going off of your prior role because I'm assuming you just continued to tirelessly poke and prod everything in this place.
Investigate, yeah.
Yeah. You do notice that so the 3 sarcophagi at the west end of this place, the 2 north and south are very ornate and bog standard. They have all the candles that are on these various sarcophagi are there and flickering. You do notice that the two sarcophagi on the kind of central alcove. There's one that has a carving of a man in it, or on it, on the top, and one that has a carving of a woman on the top. The sarcophagus of the man looks pretty undisturbed. The sarcophagus of the woman, as you look around and investigate the sarcophagus itself, it looks like the lid to it has probably been opened and closed many, many times. Like the stone is worn in a way that none of the other sarcophagi are worn.
I'll mention that to the group and say it doesn't seem that it would be normal that a sarcophagus would be opened again, much less many times.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Sorry.
they were
Do you see-
recycling whatever was within. Or they were hiding something.
Yes, of which I know not which one it would be.
Are there no footprints near the sarcophagus?
I mean, it's stone, so I would assume no.
I don't know if it'd be, dusty.
It is not dusty in here. I think I called out earlier, but it's worth noting there is no dust or cobwebs.
Okay.
In this entire this place, if it wasn't a crypt,
Pretty clean.
would be pretty nice for most people. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Theresa probably thinks it's pretty nice as it is anyway.
I don't know. I guess. Yeah, maybe I'm
It's
reading.
a fairly well kept crypt.
I like my crypts clean.
No blood.
I could use more servants in here, but that's just me.
Which tomb, sorry, was it? The one that had looked like it was more recently disturbed than the others?
The one with
the
the
woman's.
woman.
Oh, right.
So the south
Can I,
one.
probably silly, but do I spot anything with passive perception or anything like that?
Not any more than Lolly's investigation.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because there's a 23 or something.
Mine is, yeah.
Yeah. What is his passive investigation? 20. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Passive insight is a 22. Your passive deception is a 23. You should just never roll for deception checks.
Well, so I don't know if you've noticed this, but one of my features is reliable talent. That whenever you make an ability checks that lets you add a proficiency bonus, you treat any d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
I literally cannot roll less than a 10, and my modifiers on quite a few of them are 12.
Yeah.
I went with the Lyokin method this time. I'm gonna fucking break some shit.
I need to put a sticky note on my monitor. Lyokin sees everything. Lolly basically can't fail horribly. Okay. So Lolly, you and wait a minute. Why is why is your character's name showing up as Dolly? Oh, that's where your cursor is. Okay, sorry. I'm okay. I was Dolby Saren? What? We're good. I'm crazy.
Well,
It's alright. We all
at
like
least you
to.
can admit it to yourself.
Okay, it's been a long 3 weeks. Whatever. I will say, as you all are looking around, does anybody have anything particular they're doing at the moment? Besides, I guess.
I might see if I can like push the lid of the recently disturbed sarcophagus, like slightly open, and then have a look inside.
Are there any offerings in here?
Yeah, Lolly's gonna take a step back.
So there's no offerings. I think, let's see here. Things to point out that I'm remembering now. At the beginning, or at the end of last session, I had noted that there were what looked like perfectly clean milk bottles in like a milk delivery crate at the entrance to the crypt. Over here, on this pillar on the inside, so you didn't see it when you first came in, there is a much smaller fresco of a fairly nondescript middle-aged man. For those of you that did various investigation, perception, or other checks, this man doesn't look familiar to any of you in any way. Just to be abundantly clear about that. But yeah, there's no offerings lying around, Teresa. There's really maybe another thing that's conspicuous about this place, aside from the cleanliness and the art, is aside from the candles, there is nothing else here. So then coming back to Xanthiel, given that I just gave you reminders and possibly new information, you still trying to push open the lid? It's not a trick question. I described two things that I hadn't described to you before, so I'm just checking to see if that changes any of your...
No, nothing sounded particularly more dangerous, so...
Yeah, and like I guess people have been opening and closing it, so I don't know. And I didn't sense it any traps or anything, so fuck it.
Yeah, so you're trying to crack it open?
Well, I assumed it had already been like recently moved open.
It's closed right now. So like if you...
Yeah, but I'm like...
So you want to just shove the stone over enough to see what's inside?
Yeah, I don't want to like break it or anything, but yeah.
Yeah. So you pretty easily, given your tremendous ability to move objects, what with your equine build, are able to shift the sarcophagus lid over about 6 inches or so, enough to see inside. As you do that, you see that there is a fully dressed, dark-haired woman, kind of slightly tossing around inside the sarcophagus. And as you finish moving it and kind of get your glowing mace, right? That's what you used to see with.
Yep.
As you kind of shine your glowing mace on, she opens her eyes, winces, and kind of puts a hand over her eyes and says, "Would you mind taking that light away and stepping back a bit? I'm just waking up. It's a bit early for, I'm assuming, whatever all of this is."
Sure. Very curious. She can't, I don't think she can extinguish it, but she'll move it away.
Yeah. So as you step back, you can kind of hear some sounds from inside the coffin or the sarcophagus, and then a rather small hand reaches out and just slides the entire lid of the sarcophagus about 1.5 feet to the side. And
Damn.
a
Vampire.
a woman sits up, kind of peeking out of the cracked open lid, and sees all of you in this crypt, and she says, "Hello, good evening. I don't get visitors very often, so welcome. Can I ask what you all are doing in my family crypt? And she kind
I
of...
did not expect a Nightwalker to be in such a holy crypt. Interesting.
She smiles faintly at that and says, I think there's probably more variation in people in my predicament than you may assume at first glance.
I
Molly
figured
will innocently pipe up and say, what predicament might that be?
And she
she's a
says,
bloodsucker.
as your charming companion has so clearly pointed out, I am a vampire. Not all of us are horrible fiends. Uh, and so I think, some of the bad apples give the rest of us a pretty bad name. And
Molly will just say, oh, how interesting.
she reaches back and closes her sarcophagus at this point, kind of sealing it back up for the day. And she almost absent-mindedly, but focusedly, that's a contradiction, but you can tell she kind of like checks the corners and is just kind of brushing with her fingers along the edges after she pulls it back shut. The woman herself, she's quite small. She's about 5'2". She's dressed in decent...
Feeling attacked.
You know what? You're like 6.5 feet tall. So, this is Dragons and Dungeons, whatever. She's 4'8". Fine, whatever. I don't care.
I'll fuck with it. All good. Sorry.
God damn people. She is relatively short for whatever the normative heights are in the society that you guys live in. But yeah, her outfit is, I would say, kind of nondescript but well made. Especially Xanthiel, you can tell that while her clothing isn't necessarily going to draw any attention if she were to walk out of her crypt, it is definitely of a decent quality, probably a few steps above what the average commoner would get. And after closing her sarcophagus, she looks around kind of inquisitively at the lot of you, wondering what the hell you're doing in her crypt.
Well, we were investigating the cause of the... Are you familiar with these recent occurrence of these fungal... Shit, I'm not even sure what they're called. Spores? Something? That are causing bodies to partially reanimate?
She thinks... You can tell her thinking. She goes, when you put it that way, yeah, there's been some weird stuff. I've been pretty busy the last few weeks. I haven't been spending much time lounging about, aside from cleaning. But no, I guess... Go ahead.
I want to do insight on her response.
Sure. She seems to be telling you the truth. She kind of has an expression of... Xanthiel, now that you have said fungal monsters, it looks, I think, to you and Teresa, almost like a couple things just clicked into place for her. Like when you tell somebody something that is obvious after the fact. But she says, yeah, I hadn't really clocked that, but now that you mention it, if there are fungal zombies, as you say, that would explain some of the things I've heard about what's going on in the cemetery. I've mostly been out of the cemetery during the night recently. Haven't been spending a lot of time wandering the grounds lately.
It's because we were tracking them for a bit, and our path has taken us here. We had thought maybe this might be the source, but, well, evidently not.
She looks around and says, well, I can definitely say that there is no fungal zombification happening in my crypt. I like to keep things pretty tidy.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll wait until she's done.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Molly will just kind of look around and say to the group, "Well, we are only here because we were told there was noises at night that may or may not be normal. So, having a person in the crypt would maybe be cause for concern for people who don't know she is here."
And as you say the people saying they hear things part, she gives out a little bit of an exasperated sigh under her breath and says, that was probably Simon. While I was asleep, while people were leaving, I've told him so many times to wait to come until after people leave near my crypt, but he doesn't listen.
Well, as far as the common populace goes, the less they know, the less troublesome they are.
May I ask who is Simon?
He makes certain deliveries for me. He's one of my contacts to the wider world of Waterdeep, if you will. You might imagine in my position, I'm not necessarily out to make a big name for myself. People usually get scared when they see people like me.
Yes, it's an unfortunate reaction. But, something hopefully will change. Given time. Although, you did seem familiar with the, fungal monster's presence. Well, at least once I told you about it, something clicked. May I ask what, details might you have? Perhaps, you might know something that we don't.
Really just rumors about stuff. I mean, not like when you say it all out, right? Like, oh, there's fungal monsters. Like, people had. So I tend to make some rounds in the city when I am about my particular business. And I tend to talk to some members of the community who are hear a lot of rumors and scuttlebutt, and I had heard that there were some weird things happening in the graveyard. I usually chalk that up to, you know, people being people. I'm pretty fastidious, and I haven't seen directly anything else in the graveyard. But if you've actually found some fungal monsters, that makes some of those rumors make a little more sense. But like I said, I haven't in the past few weeks really been spending a lot of time in the City of the Dead proper. It kind of ebbs and flows. My clientele and my services kind of have cycles that I go through. So, I've been a bit busy lately.
But what manner of business are you in? Perhaps we could acquire your talents?
She chuckles a little bit. I tend to help out with certain doctors and certain members at various religious sects that don't have too prejudicial a view of my people, or not my people. We're not a people, but people in my position. I help out with the city, with some of the doctors and some of the priests and clerics in calming or relieving the trauma that some of their uh, patients or practitioners or followers are dealing with.
Ah, how delightful.
I'm surprised that being surrounded by so many goodly gods, one of the servants hasn't come to smite you in your sleep.
Well, I think they understand that I'm trying to make the best of an unfortunate situation.
I respectfully disagree, but your status as a vampire can be put to good use.
And she kind of raises an eyebrow at you. Like, what does that mean?
Well, that means whatever you want it to mean. But as for me, there are plenty of magically inclined that are very happy to study the effects of vampirism.
And she'll look at you and say, I'm not particularly interested in being somebody's experiment.
Lolly will kind of like cock an eye at Teresa and say, "Could you make it sound more dastardly?"
I'm just speaking the truth of opportunities that are elsewhere in the city.
Lolly just kind of chuckles and slowly shakes his head.
I don't think there's anybody even. Okay. Um, let's see. I think. Okay, yeah. So she glances around at everybody, kind of brushing past, I think what she perceives as vaguely threatening comments about people wanting to study her, um, and looks at all of you, and looks at the watchman in particular, and says, uh, "Constable, or is it sergeant? What? I don't want to address you at the wrong rank." And he looks up from writing his notes and says, "It's Corporal Kowan." And she says, "I don't mean to be too forward, but I hope we don't have any particular problem here." And he grunts and says, "I haven't seen you break any laws. You may be weird, but you haven't broken any laws yet." And keeps writing. And the woman nods at that. And looking around at all of you, says, "Well, this has been fascinating. I don't usually get visitors. I do have some appointments that I need to keep. Um, so I would like to be on my way if there's no further questions." You actually woke me up just a few minutes before I think I would have risen anyway.
I do believe
Lolly,
you have not shared your name.
Ah,
that's what Lolly was going to ask too.
well, I'm Cosmina Leante. Obviously, she gestures towards the front door. "This is the Leante Crypt, and my name is Cosmina. What are all of your names?"
I am Xanthiel, Centaur
My
of
name
the
is Lolly
Phalos.
Goodfellow. Well met.
My name is Monsieur Gibbles.
And Teresa gives a little bell. Teresa Portier of Baldur's Gate.
And Cosmina raises an eyebrow and says, "Well, I've got a portier in my crypt. I guess I should give a curtsy." And she kind of gives a bow with a flourish to you, and says, "Send my regards to your family." And then looking over at you, Gibbles, she kind of cocks her head and says, "Have I seen you before?"
Whoa, me?
You look.
I haven't been here in 100 years.
That's interesting. You don't look 100 years old, and I don't sense that you're like me. So I guess good luck. Maybe I've seen you long, long ago.
How long have you been a vampire for?
A few centuries, ish. It's been a while.
A few centuries.
I keep not being a vampire.
Huh.
Time kind of
I don't know.
bleeds together after a while.
A few centuries of undeath and you haven't lost your mind. Interesting.
And she thinks for a moment. It seems like something kind of popped into her head, and she turns Xanthiel back to you. You said fungal, right? Fungal zombies.
I did.
So I haven't dug into this too much, but I'm pretty sure some of these crypts go pretty deep. I mean, not all of them do. Mine doesn't go that deep, but like some of these crypts go deep, and some of them were built on top of people have been building under deep or underwater deep for a long time. So I can't help but wonder if this fungus is coming from below. I know the Mad Mage tunneled out just huge portions of this city. So I can't help but think if you're trying to find something about these zombies, that's at least one place that you could try to look. Maybe go talk to Durnan. Maybe he can get you into Undermountain, or maybe he knows something about all of this. Maybe not, but he might know.
Durnan, where might we find Durnan?
He's at the Yawning Portal. The tavern or the inn, whatever they call it. He's been there for a while. And I think Lolly, you would, or not Lolly. Well, Lolly, you'd basically. I think everybody here in character, you would have heard of the Yawning Portal. It's an incredibly famous tavern in Waterdeep, probably the most famous one there. Which is Durnan. He may pretend to be the barkeep, but he's the owner too. Not a very outgoing fellow, but if you can crack that stony exterior that he's got, you might be able to learn something if he knows anything, if there's any connection to that stupid pit that he has in the middle of his bar.
Oh, I do so much love finding secrets.
Yeah, so we certainly a lead to go on it.
Yes, thank you very much for the tip. Very kind of you.
At this point, she takes a few steps forward to the edge of the stairs, kind of watching all of you. Not in an unfriendly way, but also rather warily. She says, I'm going to exit now, unless you have any other business. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
We appreciate your time. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah, just to show she's not threatening Xanthiel like she the base, I guess. Like,
Yeah. So Cosmina walks about halfway out, and she turns around and says, "Oh, and please don't disturb anything in here. I'm very particular. I know that you pushed open my coffin. There's no surprises in the others. That's my family. If you could just leave them be, that would be very much appreciated."
very well.
She makes her way, unless anybody does anything to stop her, she heads out of the crypt.
Well, it seems we have a path set. She helped us a great deal, so I suspect it would be doing her a great disservice if we then just ransacked her family tomb.
Yeah, probably not. Although I am tempted.
To have a vampire enemy while we live in the very same city, that would be unwise.
No, I will use my restraint. Gibbles has learned a little bit in restraint.
Which Gibbles is known for.
Right. Well, I think the last time he was in a crypt, he was trapped for like 100 years. So I think here he's like, I'm not. Now's not the time to fuck around.
The Syriac was a bit of an asshole too, so
Yeah.
And Teresa's mind, she's like, this vampire at least doesn't attack on sight, like the one back in Chult.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'd
We
like
had that
to
guy.
obtain one of these. Yeah, the
Cloquez.
the Aztec vampire.
Cloquez Popo Locas, the best name ever published in a D&D module. I have to admit, the reason I had you guys fight him twice is I was just having so much fun saying Tlocas Popo Locas. It's the single best name they've ever published. I'm just going to keep saying that out loud because it's true. Cool. So is there anything you guys want to do in here at this point?
Teresa dropped.
Oh. I will say, Xanthiel, you notice, because of your vantage point, the top of the sarcophagus that Cosmina was sleeping in, the woman carved into the top, is Cosmina.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like just that it's a slightly stylized, representation of her, but after having seen the woman who got out, that's definitely. Oh, Cosmina's got her face on her sarcophagus. Kind of.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be weird, like climbing out of bed and then just seeing your own fucking face.
Probably wears off. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick and top off my water. I will be right back.
Yep.
And I'm back.
Welcome back. So, unless anyone has any objections, I'd vote that we leave the ladies' crypt alone and start heading off towards the tavern, depending on what time of day it is, which I'm assuming is quite late.
It's shortly after full sunset. It is full nighttime.
Okay, so it'd actually not be a terrible time to visit a tavern then.
It's like
kind of.
Probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock, given the time of year we're at. We're kind of in the fall.
Yes, I suppose we should go over then.
Oh, hey. Is anybody opposed to going to the tavern?
Sorry, I walked away.
I'm back.
But no. Oh, I think we should go to the tavern.
Okay, so...
Or are we going to go there at a later time? Because it's like, what, nighttime right now?
It's just after sunset. Basically, you woke Cosmina up about 5 or 10 minutes before she would have normally woken up. I've popped up the map of the city. Let's just drag you guys here, because that's where you are. So the Yawning Portal is down here. It's this mug. kind of southwest of where you're at, kind of where the southern ward and the dock ward and the castle ward all kind of coalesce. Your guys' place is up in the north ward. Reference. Yeah. I guess I can just move us there if that's where you want to go. Just have to find.
Wait, to the Yawning Portal or to the house?
I'm assuming y'all wanted to go to the Yawning Portal. I think most of the comments have been for that, so kind of what I was thinking. If that's correct, I'll just move y'all there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so let me find some characters. Get you the Yawning Portal. And put you all at the entrance. Okay, look at that. I'm gonna put Liz here just in case for next session. Oh, Lolly, we've already got you. Teresa, there's you. Xanthiel, there's you.
Sweet.
So I think you should. Activate scene. Now this should be fun. Because this is why did the music change? Dang it. I'll worry about that later. That's really weird. It turned on music but turned it off. Weird. When I select one of your tokens, it plays different music than what I hear most of the time. That's bizarre. Context. So, you all come up to the Yawning Portal. The tavern from the outside. It's a moderately, a fairly large building. All of you have heard of it before. The key defining feature of the Yawning Portal is that it has in the center of the main floor of the tavern a giant yawning portal down into what is supposedly the depths of the Mad Mage Hallister's ruined wizard tower. As you come in through the front door, you can very clearly see that giant pit. The tavern right now has kind of just started opening for business. There are some people in... Here's a question. When you guys are looking at the room, there's some cool stuff going on because this is a 3-story structure. Are you guys seeing the NPCs kind of about in the room, or are you just seeing empty tables?
See some NPCs.
Cool.
Let's see.
Can you see NPCs on all sides of you, or is it just off to the right?
Let's see.
I
Everyone.
can see on both sides.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this room is actually 3 stories tall. You're on the ground floor. There's a balcony above you that kind of follows the same perimeter of this room, but the central pit is open. There is on the second floor, there's kind of an arch built over the pit from which is hanging a platform on a winch. Let's see here. People that you might recognize. Volo is here across the other side of the pit, animately engaged in conversation with some folks you don't recognize. I think those of you who remember from the ceremony with Laryl Silverhand at the palace, Mert, the retired adventurer, who had been kind and offered to talk to you or give you assistance if you needed it, is also at a table, very animatedly drinking and talking. And for those who there's a man sitting over here, who you had seen kind of silently standing by Laro Silverhand during the whole ceremony. He is sitting by himself, quietly enjoying a drink and just kind of observing the room. And then there's a rather grizzled-looking bartender behind the bar to the northeast. There's a bunch of other people at various booths engaged with each other, and it looks like a band is getting ready to play up on the kind of stage section over here. A group of bards are getting ready to provide entertainment for the night.
Does Xanthiel notice anything particular about the pit?
It extends past the range of anybody in the group's ability to see into darkness. The pit itself is so the stone around the base of the pit is incredibly old. The rumors are that this pit was built over the Mage Hallister's Wizard's Tower foundation. Looking at the stone, all of you see no reason to disbelieve those rumors based on how old that stone looks. Other than that, the pit just kind of descends into darkness. It looks like for at least 100 feet or more. You can't see the bottom of it.
Interesting.
Is it kosher to throw a cup down there?
You'd have to order a drink to get a cup.
But would I know if that's like? Is this? I mean, I imagine the Yawning Portal is like a very specific and important place. So do they not care if you just?
I mean, you've probably been here before, to be honest, since you're from Waterdeep. Basically, the rules in this place, Durnan, the bartender, who you actually recognize, he's still here. Like, you recognize him as the same bartender who was here 100 years ago before you left. His general approach to the bar was, as long as you generally behave, he's willing to overlook minor infractions. If you cause problems, Durnan had a very low tolerance for people causing a scene. But yeah, like tossing a cup, you're probably not going to get yourself in his good graces, but you're also probably not going to get in trouble for it.
Okay.
So as you pass Mert, he is very engagedly recounting a tale of adventure to a man in his mid-20s across from him, who seems to be kind of amusedly listening on as Mert is enjoying telling his story.
Can I hear anything about what he's talking about, or?
It's something to do with a bunch of trolls and how he and his group had gotten backed into a corner, and then he boisterously starts gesturing around like he's waving a weapon. It sounds very much like you're not sure how much of it is true, but the quality of the storytelling is at least entertaining. But nothing like particularly interesting about it. Just sounds like an old guy drinking, rehashing tales of his youth.
Well, unless anybody else is gonna do something, I'm gonna go talk to Bolo.
So as you approach Volo's table, he notices you coming and says, "Ah, my friend. Have you got a drink yet?"
Oh no, I haven't. No. I guess I should get one first, huh?
He says, "Well, you should certainly go talk to the bartender, and if you want to buy a drink for me, I wouldn't say no." And he winks at you and then says, "And I should have did the Carpenters Guild guy come over today? I thought he was going to come over today. Did he come over this morning?"
Oh, he came over and he was perfect. We worked out a great deal with him. Lolly worked out a very good deal with him, and I think our house is gonna look spick and span. We're gonna be looking mighty fine.
Fantastic. If I'm still working on some other connections. I think I was talking to some of the Vintners Guild, and I figured I'd wait until you guys had figured your renovations out, and if you want to open before sending him over. He's a bit stuck up. He's a bit of a jerk sometimes, but just let me know when. I'll stop in, or you can find me here or any other tavern. I can send him over. Also, still looking for the auctioneers. That's gonna take a little bit more time on my end, but by all means, have fun. I'm making new friends. He gestures at the significantly drunk individual sitting across the table from him, who just kind of smiles and waves at you bemusedly, and then Volo turns back to him and says, "So where was I in my story?" And the guy says, "I think you were talking about the. You were talking. Was it dinosaurs or was it golems? I can't remember which one you were talking about." And Volo kind of starts launching back into another dubious tale of his exploits.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go get a beer at the bar. I'm gonna go talk to Dermot.
Lolly, you would walk.
Lolly's already over at Dernan.
So I'll switch over to Lolly. As you come up to the bar, Dernan looks to be maybe a little bit more than middle-aged man. He's very taciturn as you come up, just kind of nods as you walk up, and he's polishing off the bar and doing bartender stuff behind it. He definitely looks pretty fit for an old guy, though. Definitely, and you've probably heard of him before too, since you have been in this place a bit before. Everything I was saying to Gibbles, you've probably heard of Dernan's reputation of pretty no nonsense, happy to serve drinks, also happy to kind of bust some skulls if things get out of hand. And as you come up, he looks to you, nods, and says, "So what'll it be?"
Oh, well, we started drinking some wine earlier, so I suppose some wine would be nice. Also, I was curious if I could ask you a couple of questions about this what's it called, bar of yours.
He raises an eyebrow and says, "You want house wine or good wine?"
What would the price difference be?
He shrugs and he says, "You can spend a couple silver, or you can spend as much as you want. It just depends if I have to get it from the bar or from the cellar."
Well, how about a nice wine from the bar?
He nods, looks over to you, Gibbles, and says, "You two together? How many wines am I getting?"
Damn, you don't remember me?
And he kind of raises the other eyebrow almost sarcastically as if like I've seen so many people at this bar. Why would I remember you? Very much the long-suffering bartender look.
I let it go right past me. I said, "Durham, it's great to see you. You look like you haven't aged a day, and it's been like 100 years, my pal. Do you still? I don't want wine. I'd like a beer if you guys are still making the same beer, same ale."
And he says, he kind of squints his eyes at you and says, Which ale were you drinking when you used to be here?
Oh, you know the one. That special one, you know, the one you were serving out about 100 years ago. You don't remember?
He says, I remember most of our ales, but let me rustle something up and see if we can narrow this down a little bit.
Perfect.
And he looks back to you, Lolly. Do you have any other folks here you're ordering drinks for?
Well, I mean, we do have two others: the giant centaur and the woman over there, who I'm believe she's looking into the portal. I'm not quite sure, but yes, there's two more. I'm not quite sure what they want though.
She's just hassling the guards. Like, how many people have crossed into here and never came back?
So there's two kind of they're not guards, they're just starting to drink common folk, and they look at you and you're dressed fairly well, I'm assuming, and they're like, oh, I mean, I don't know, every so often people go down. Say about half of them come back. It's always a big event when somebody pays Durnan his money to take a ride down into the pit, and then you just kind of wait and see what happens next. The woman next to the guy that just talked to you says, you know, I think I've seen like 3 or 4 groups down. Most of them have tugged the rope pretty quick to get back up. Usually it's within like an hour or so. Kind of one of those, you know, people go down, we all kind of forget about it, and then all of a sudden they come back up looking pretty hairy. I don't know if I've seen anybody not come up, but I guess usually we keep drinking, so we probably forget. But not everybody comes back up.
I would assume so, given its extreme danger. Out of character, would she know about Skullport?
I think we've established in-game that Skullport is somewhere underneath the city. I don't know if you would know if Skullport connects to this. There's rumors that everything underwater deep connects, but I don't think you have any like specific knowledge of it off the top of your head. It's more like rumors.
Yeah, I'm just running under the assumption that it's all rumors and stuff, but I figured that some people would know Skullport exists and where to go to find it. But I think she would just say, if they're down there, they're probably trying to search for the fabled Skullport.
And the guy perks up at this. He's like, "Oh, that rumor, yeah. You know, I think there have been 1 or 2 serious groups that have gone down, but most of the ones that come back, you know, if they have, you know, loot or anything, usually they're pretty quick to talk to Durnan and head out. So, yeah, most of the people who seem to find success down there just kind of, it's almost like an elite club, if you will. Most of them don't talk too much. I don't know if it's because they're scared or if it's because they're worried about, you know, losing their edge on getting the loot. Maybe someday I'll go down there. And the woman next to him just kind of smacks him on the arm and says, You don't even know how to use a long sword. What are you talking about?
Well, I assume the ones that come up are the lucky ones. The ones that don't get slaughtered down there.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly Durnan made it, like, pretty far. Supposedly Durnan built this place after he went down there and came back. So, if that's true, he made quite a bit of money.
I see. Well, lucky me, because I am here to speak to this Darnan. Where is he?
The woman just gestures towards the bar. He's always back there. The bar being over here. I can't get one. Why can't I see it that way? Weird.
Up walls.
I think there's windows around the pit to stop you from, like, jumping into it. By mistake. So, Teresa, you kind of come around probably as Durnan is talking to the others, trying to figure out exactly how complicated the drinks order is. Xanthiel, do you want to join the rest of them, or are you good kind of where you are?
Sorry. I will join them. Am I?
I get... Man. Can't get my recording to actually show the lower level. It's annoying. Give me 1 second here.
Now!
Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to go here. I need to create an actor. I'm going to call it Cam. I just want to figure something out real quick. There we go. Cool. Okay. So y'all make it over. Durnan, he's looking around. Xanthiel and Teresa, as you come up, he says, are you with these two?
Yes. Well, I am.
You want
Not bad
drinks?
for me to speak to the others. Do you have anything from the Feywilds?
He kind of looks you up and down and says, yeah, but it's a little bit extra. It's probably about a gold. Is that price okay for you?
Yep. And she flicks over a gold coin at him. Or to him, rather, I should say. Not at him.
He definitely snatches it out of the air as he lets the bar rag fall. And he looks to you, Teresa, kind of inquisitively, if you are interested in a beverage.
Water. Just water.
He nods. He steps back. He gets one dusty bottle of wine and pours out into a rather nice glass a portion of that. He grabs another not dusty bottle from one of the higher shelves, pours a glass there, comes back, hands the bottle from the dusty, or hands the glass from the dusty bottle over to you, Xanthiel. And says, I hope that's fey enough for you. And gives Lolly the other glass. From under the bar, rummages around, gets a glass, pulls out a pitcher, holds it up and looks at it to make sure it looks like the water's actually decent. Nods to himself and pours you a glass of water, Teresa. And then he looks you up and down, Gibbles, and grabs a couple of tankards and pours out kind of like a half tankard from 3 different taps that he has at the bar. Let's ignore the fact that probably they don't have taps at bars these days, but whatever. He gives you 3 different half tankards and puts them down and says, "I guess we'll figure out just how long ago you were here."
Wait, repeat that. He gave me 3 different beers, or he mixed all 3 into one?
3 different beers and 3 different tankards, the medieval equivalent of a flight of beers.
So he's just giving them to me, or he's wanting me to.
Well, no, he wants you to pay for them. I mean, he's assuming you guys are paying for everything.
Okay.
I'm not really worried about the actual cost because I think you guys have a ton of money, and I'm not interested in like record keeping fractions of gold pieces here outside of the Feywild wine. Xanthiel, you do definitely, after drinking that, it is definitely a style of wine that is a Feywild vintage. He's not pulling a fast one on you. Lolly, your wine is decent. Like, it's a decent wine. You'd happily drink it. Teresa, the water is clean. He gave you normal water. And Teddy, you've got 3 tankards in front of you of smells like slightly different ales in all of them.
I give him the coins and I say, I'm like, thank you. And I pick all 3 up.
He says, well, let me know which one you think it is that tastes the most familiar, and maybe I can jog my memory a little bit.
Sounds like a plan, Durham. I'm sure you'll remember me in no time. Also, a quick question. Did Volo leave?
Oh no, he's still semi-drunkenly talking to a much drunker person across from him. He's basically trapped this person, but they're too drunk to care.
Sorry. I didn't realize it was cut out by the pillar. Got it.
Yeah. There's a lot of sight angles. I think also if you try to go on the stairs here, it will automatically take you to other levels of this location, because I found a really fancy map for the Yawning Portal, which seemed cool. So there you go. So Gibbles, you're going back to Volo.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Had anybody else asked anything directly to Durnan besides getting the drinks?
I told him that I wanted to ask about his establishment.
So after he serves you, I guess Gibbles is, maybe as you're walking off, I don't know if you want to retcon this, he kind of looks you up and down and says, what is it you want to know?
Well,
Wait,
because he's asking me, right?
Yeah, you asked him, so he's asking you.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just tell him. Well, we were investigating an issue in the City of the Dead, actually, which involved potentially undead. I wouldn't say beings, but more of an undead moss that was bringing corpses back to life, and we were informed that potentially the cause could be coming from below, in the city below Waterdeep, and we were curious if you would have any idea of someone with whom we could talk to in that city in regards to this this issue that we are investigating.
So he considers this, looks at the group of you and says, I recognize you. You're the Chult heroes, aren't you? So you're probably not complete idiots. Fair enough. So that pit there, that does lead, all the people talking about, oh, is this really Hallister's old tower? It is. The thing about Hallister's tower is I'm pretty sure he's still down there somewhere, and there are levels and levels and levels to this place. The last time I was down there, the closest thing I saw to any plant stuff is, it's 6th or 7th level down. There was a druid that had taken up residence. So if you're looking for some sort of plant or fungus-based thing, that'd be my first guess. But I never made it all the way down through all the levels. I made it far enough to buy this place, and came back up. But yeah, I'd say, what was that floor? What was it? The Willowwood, I think it was called. There was a druid down in Willowwood. I don't know if she's still down. She was a little off in the head. It was named after her, Willow. When we met her, she was kind of in a bad state. I think she had been tricked down into that place and then decided to stay there. So there's a floor that's just a giant, kind of like an underground forest. The trick is you have to get there. Some of the floors down there, you can go one after the other. Some of them have portals that'll help you teleport around. I think I got about halfway into Hallister's stupid labyrinth down there. And he kind of trails off at that point.
Interesting. Out of curiosity, you said that she resides in the Willowwood. Is there any way to acquire a map or anywhere that we could go that would have a guide of some sort?
As far as maps go, Hallister changes that place somewhat regularly. So the first time me and my crew went down there, we made it through a few levels, beat our way back to regroup, sell off some of the treasure we found, kind of prepare to go further, and when we went back in, a couple weeks later, things had changed. So I think the floors themselves are, they are where they are, most of them. But somehow Hallister, through whatever mad whims he has, he changes the connections, changes who's there. Sometimes I think he's even pitting people on the floors or on other floors against each other. They say he's mad, and I'm pretty sure based on everything I've seen down there, that's true. There's no rhyme or reason. So even if I were to draw you a map of what it looked like last time I went down there, I don't know if it'd be any good. As far as a guide, I think there's a couple people, if I see them come in, I can point them your way. Did you guys got that abandoned old house up in the North Ward, right?
Yes, that's us.
If I find any of the folks who usually... there's some folks that show up here kind of looking from time to time for people to go to particular things. Down in Hallister's playground down there, I could either send them to try and get in touch with you, or if they show up while you're here, I can tell you they're here. Can't think right now of any real guides for this place. It's just it changes so much that I don't know. There's only so many people that go down. And the ones that come back, they're pretty tight-lipped. But I think there was somebody from what was that woman's name? I'm trying to remember. Let's see here.
If I may interrupt,
Yeah.
I do believe the question that should be asked is, what's between here and the Willow Wood?
I mean, probably not too much for folks like you to deal with, to be honest. So, like Hallister, of course, being the silly man he is, it's kind of each floor has more and more nefarious groups. I think there's some Duragar last time I was down there. I think he has. So like the early levels, there's some Duragar, some of those deep dwarves down there. There's kind of like the apprentices to his apprentices doing stuff. You might run into some drow. I know there's a couple drow families down there. There's the Moonstar House, supposedly deeper than I ever went. But I think there's some other families that are or factions of the drow that are kind of either trying to claim space down there. First level's kind of a pretty typical dungeon. The second one's got some weird magic experimentation. The next couple levels are mostly just basic, monsters. And then after that, I think you get to the Willow Wood. I think that's kind of the path that I remember down to that druid's place. Once you get past that, it starts getting a bit more interesting. I know about halfway down, we ran into almost like the Hallister's apprentice school. But I think that was past the Willow Wood when we found it. There's a miniature castle down there, which is pretty weird, or at least there was last time. And then once you get about 2/3 of the way down, that's about where we turned back. I think most of Alistair's actual apprentices are deeper than that. I never tangled with them, and I haven't heard anybody come back. But to your other question, there's a lady, Esvel Rosnar. She keeps showing up. I think she's trying to get somebody to go down there to find her brother. She's not here tonight, but you could maybe. She's here kind of like every other night or so, trying to find people willing to go down. Trying to find her brother down there. He went down, a couple months ago. I guess maybe the best lead I have for like somebody who might know something about what's going on down there. I don't know if she went, but her brother went down there.
Out of curiosity, do you remember everyone who's gone down your portal?
No. I kind of pay attention to people who come back. Most of them I never see again. They get what they get, and most of them take their winnings and head out. There's plenty to loot down there. He kind of gestures at the tavern. Paid for this. I can't think of a group that's kind of gone back multiple times in the last 20 or 30 years at least.
There's a school, you say? That really piques her interest.
Yeah, the Dwemer Corps. So Hallister, in his infinite wisdom, set up a school where his apprentices can basically recruit other people. And when we were there, it was a whole bunch of backstabbing little shits. And we got through it okay. left a few bodies behind us. After that, we got down to Muriel's floor. Muriel's one of his apprentices, and we got halfway through that and kind of backtracked after that and didn't come back. We'd gotten enough goodies to satisfy our greed. But yeah, that's about. I think it's about halfway down. After that, I'm not really sure. There's also, you're talking about a guide. I've heard from some of the more recent groups that actually stopped to talk afterwards that there's seems to be a spirit that haunts the whole place. There are a couple groups that went in and found out that there was a spirit that wouldn't let them go further, telling people they were too weak, which is interesting. So I don't know if you can get down there and get in touch with that spirit. That spirit might be able to tell you something more about what you're looking for, or you talked about a city down there. I'm assuming you're talking about Skullport. You can get to Skullport from this labyrinth, but you have to follow a river. There's a couple different floors that we found that had some underground rivers, and I'm pretty sure you can get to Skullport from there, but they're not directly connected.
Well, I suppose Skullport would most likely be more useful for us. After the Druid, of course. But I'm not 100% sure if I remember how to get there. I know I've been there previously, but do you know of any entrances? I seem to have forgotten them.
Well, entrances to cities in the Underdark. I mean, I know that there's, I think the 3rd and 4th level, there's a couple rivers that I think head off there. I've heard that there's an underground outlet from the harbor, or underwater outlet from the harbor that can get you there. But I've never followed up on that one. Y'all look like upstanding citizens, but if you really wanted to find out more about Skullport, he glances around and says, there's always Xanathar to go check in with. That 10-eyed freak probably has some connections to Skullport.
Xanathar, that crime boss?
That's the one. He's been here for a while, and if anybody knows anything about smuggling, he probably knows how to get to Skullport. And Lolly, you're probably vaguely familiar with Xanathar, a beholder that runs a guild named after him, the Xanathar Guild. I don't think you probably ever directly ran into Xanathar himself, but the rumor is that he's a beholder that rules a crime guild underneath the city of Waterdeep. You probably, in your previous trafficking cases, ran into low-level members of his group.
Okay. Would I generally know where to find him, or at least someone that I could connect to him?
You would assume that if you go either go to the local watch, you could probably mine that for any recent connections. In your time when you were doing stuff with the Waterdeep City Watch, there was kind of a truce between the Xanathar Guild and the city, in the sense that there was a certain level of corruption and illegal activity that they would let the guild get into, as long as it didn't spill out into murder or trafficking, drugs, like really serious stuff. The city's mostly happy as long as the guild stays in the dark. They don't push too hard that makes sense. Like it's one of those. They know Xanathar. He generally tries to stay in his sphere and stay away from the law, and the law in return doesn't push too hard back against him because nobody wants an open war with a crime boss. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, the Watch isn't happy about Xanathar, but nobody in the Watch wants to start a war with Xanathar. And the Xanathar Guild, in return, generally tries to stay out of stuff that would get the city to come down on them super hard. You know, your bog standard. There's a certain amount of illegal activity that greases the wheels everywhere.
Yep, Lolly's well aware of that.
I think another interesting thing that you would probably know about is that so Xanathar for a long time had been associated with the Zentarim, which are a kind of Sword Coast wide, some people would call them mercenary organization, other people would call them a very poorly hidden criminal network. Xanathar had always been associated with the Zentarim, like nobody could prove anything. It's like, for what it's worth, you can hire Zentarim bodyguards illegally, but there's always been like an undercurrent that the Zents are involved in deeper, darker shit. As you were kind of getting ready to retire, there were rumors that in Waterdeep there was some sort of schism in the Zentarim. I don't think you know much more than that, but worth noting that you'd heard rumors about that.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions for him.
No, not this time. I think that, from what I understand, there's a dwarf looking for a lost brother. We need to find the Skullport if we can. We need to find Willow in the wood. There's a spirit that bars the path. And Xanathar is open for business.
Yeah, I think the only correction is there's actually a young noblewoman looking for her brother. Her name is Esfel Rosnar. She's frequently here at the Yawning Portal. She's not here right now, but Dernan has said that he will happily forward her to you guys if you're interested in him sending her your way. He's happy to do so. But she is a human noblewoman, not a dwarf. The Duragar, the Dark Dwarves, are a group amongst others that is trying to claim space in the labyrinth below. Just to clarify stuff. Whoa. So Gibbles, are you going back to Volo?
Yes. Yeah. What was I gonna ask him? Oh, I give him one of the beers. Preferably not the one that's old that I would recognize.
Have you tried them all?
Yes, definitely. I've tried all 3 of them.
So you definitely recognize one of them.
I keep that one and then another one, and then I give the other one to.
So as you walk up to Volo, and as you get his attention, at first he looks irritated, and then he sees that you have a tankard in your hand, and a beatific smile of joy crosses his face.
Of course.
And he happily accepts the tankard, and invites you. He kind of scooches over in the booth. You've caught him mid-golem tale of dubious veracity. He scooches up and pats the seat next to him and says, "Ah, my friend," and he looks at the drunkard across from him and says, "This is one of the heroes of Chult. Raise your glass." And the drunk person across from him is kind of like, "Yay, hero," and raises his glass to cheers you.
Yeah, I raise my glass, say thank you, fantastic. Take a sip of the ale. And then what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask Volo if he's ever heard of the name Leonte. That name sounds familiar to him.
He looks up, looks into his tankard and says, "Leonte, isn't that an old noble house? Didn't they die out like a century ago or more? I think they were a noble of Waterdeep. At least they were. I mean, they're not now, but I think they used to be one of the families."
Interesting. So do you remember them? Do you remember when abouts they were in power, or like when they were around? Like at what point did they fall, disappear and a new noble family took over?
Oh, I mean, it was before my time, before your time too, I think, because I think our times are about the same. You and I have both time skipped a little bit, but yeah, before both of us. I'd have to go check the lineages, but yeah, they definitely predate both of us. I mean, I don't think they were... I don't recall any tales of them being overthrown. They just kind of... Wasn't there a husband and a wife, and they both died, right? I think they both died. And they were the end of the line. That was probably a century or two before I was first kicking about Waterdeep.
Great. I take a sip, I slap the table, and I say, thanks, Volo. Yeah. And then I take a sip and I head out.
And he grabs your arm as you go to get up and says, look, old nobles, whatever. Have you met Yalister yet?
I don't remember if we have met Alistair.
You haven't. It's more of like a drunk question.
Okay, so no.
Like you're just like, Yalister whom? And Volo perks up. He looks at the two drinks he has. He shoves the old one across the table to the drunk next to him. And says, "I have to introduce you to somebody. Let's go. You guys are the heroes. You should talk to this guy." And he comes out, and seeing the rest of you, very animatedly says, "Friends, come! I have to introduce you to Yalister." And he meanders his way down towards the somewhat forlorn guy in a booth by himself over here and says, "Yalister, you have to meet the heroes of Cholt. You have to meet them." He kind of looks up. For those who are coming over, you can tell not much has been consumed out of his tankard. And Yalister, for whoever comes over, kind of looks at all of you and looks at Volo and reaches into his coin purse and says, "Thank you, Volo. Here, how about you go buy yourself another drink? I guess I'll introduce myself to these folks, these people." And he hands the coin over to Volo, and Volo very exaggeratedly bows and flourishes to Yalister with many thank yous, and then heads off towards the bar to get himself another second tankard. And Yalister, I'm not sure, does everybody want to come over, or is it just the folks right next to him?
Yeah, no, it's that's something Ollie would be interested in.
Cool. So Yalister will gesture at the booth and scoot over a little bit. Do you guys want to hop in with him?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll assume you're all either in the booth or near enough to hear. And Yalister says, "My apologies. It seems like you've had plenty of Volo. I saw you at the ceremony with Laro. Congratulations. How are you finding your time in the city?"
Fantastic.
This truly
like-
is quite a wondrous city.
Well, I am discovering something new every day, but I have been here before.
He smirks and says, "Well, it is called the City of Wonders." Lolly, I think you had spoken to Laro a little bit after the ceremony. Is that correct? Something about our former Open Lord having some issues with his fiduciary responsibilities?
Why, yes, I was asked to look into it. As a former investigator, they have worked, or the Watch has worked with me before, and I was asked to take a look into the former ruler's dealings.
Yes. Well, I'm I'm your contact for that. I had meant to come visit you at your manor, but apparently you found me first. So we could discuss that a little bit. And there's maybe a few other matters I could bend your ear on. And he also looks over Teresa at you and says, "Boy, I think we met months and months and months ago in Courtney and Zaru, of all places."
Yes.
Did you ever complete that map of Cholt?
Well, I've done as much as I could.
I'm
We've only covered so far. There's still many places I did not.
well,
We decided not to go to, but the main objective has been completed.
I don't know how much use a ship for transport will be at this point, but if you're still willing to share your map, I'm more than happy to return to the Alliance and see if there's some sort of remuneration we can provide to you We're still interested. There's definitely some upheaval in Chult that we would like to at least have some lay of the land to understand. So
The god was quite ungrateful for doing his job for him, as I recall.
If you are willing to cooperate by doing an equivalent exchange, I do have access to a teleportation circle in the depths of Chult.
he looks fairly impressed by this and says, "Well, either if you want to give me the information now, or if you want me to find out what the Alliance will pay for that, I'm happy to do it either way. But I assure you, we'll reward the knowledge either way."
I will give you some knowledge for now. This location of this teleportation circle happens to be within a floating structure known as the Heart of Hotel.
Is that where Valindra was holed up?
Yeah.
Fair enough. That would be very useful. He reaches into the folds of his cloak that he's wearing and pulls out a coin purse. And looking around, making sure nobody's watching, he will slide that coin purse over to you and say, "Consider this an installment, and if you're willing to share the full map, I'll find out just how much more we can pay you for the rest of your knowledge of the geography of Chilton, if you have any other interesting information."
I considered it a fair deal.
So, if you want to add to party loot, the coin pouch has 500 gold in it. Hey, the Lord's Alliance pays well. And he says, "I'll be in touch regarding the map itself. Thank you for the information so far." He kind of notes down the information you give him about that teleportation circle. And he says, "That Valindra, I'm not sure whose side she's actually playing these days. If it's ours or those red wizards. But that said, Lolly, let me give you and all of you some information about what we know about what happened with our illustrious former Open Lord. Let me find a note for this. I have too many notes. So he says, so at this point, I'm sure Laryl told you that we think the former Lord Neverember stole a significant amount of money from the city. The point of our investigation isn't really the money itself. What we want to try and figure out is how he got that money and covered all the tracks for it. Obviously, Laryl wants this handled very sensitively, because we don't want to have any indication that there's a crisis at the top, if that makes sense. And there isn't a crisis at the top. We're just really trying to figure out what happened here. When we dug into this, of course we looked over all the books, all the ledgers, interviewed everybody that we thought could be part of this, both with our normal interview methods and with more arcane methods. And the accountants had no idea what happened. Somebody completely erased their tracks. If it was Lord Neverember himself, he wiped everybody's memory of it. We found one little discrepancy that caused us to check the vaults and find out that there was a significant amount of gold missing. The main lead we have right now, and probably where all of you can help us follow up on this kind of outside of the normal channels, is Lord Neverember's son Raynar. Not a fan of his father, it's worth mentioning. Pretty estranged relationship there. We've pieced together that sometime after this money disappeared and before Laryl replaced Dagel, Lord Neverember, he had given his son Raynar a locket, a very particular locket that had a stone carving with 3 eyes on it, to his son. We're pretty sure that this has some connection to either how the money was stolen or where the money is being kept. Unfortunately, Raynar himself also has no idea what's going on. We think there are various groups in the city who have figured out that this locket is important and are seeking it. At least our interrogations of various members of the Xanathar Guild and the Zents that are opposed to him have let us know that at least they're looking for it. We would have previously considered those groups to have been a bit more forthcoming about this, but their recent struggles against each other have made them less than cooperative. And that's about as far as we've been able to get on this investigation.
Intriguing.
Seems rather needlessly complicated.
Well, I'm sure it will be simpler once we know the truth of it, but yes, right now it is rumors, circumstance, and an unfortunate chasing a locket.
Do we have any idea where any of these individuals may be now, or where they were last seen?
Well, Raynar is right over there. Yalister gestures across the pit to where Mert is sitting with a well-dressed young man. He says, the young man that Mert is bending the ear of is Raynar. As far as the locket, we've pressed Raynar a little bit, but given his relationship to his father, Raynar says he had the locket and lost it a few weeks back. And we have no reason to suspect that Raynar is actually connected to his father's potential activities. As far as the Xanathar Guild and the Zents go, we know they're looking for that locket, but we don't have any concrete proof that they know where it is or have it at this point. We've kind of hit dead ends on all of our leads, and at this point going further directly on the behalf of Laryl would be awkward. We're still trying to keep the peace with those unfortunate elements of the city, and we've kind of reached the end of how far we can go before pushing things to an uncomfortable level of hostility.
Molly just slowly nods in understanding. Well, if you don't mind, then I suppose I should go talk to the young gentleman and see if I can find any further information from him.
If you'd like to, by all means do. I would say we're pretty sure Raynar is not the linchpin of this whole thing. I think he came into the locket from his father, so he seems a nice enough lad. We'd prefer not to have an incident with Raynar.
He may just not know what he knows. Many of these situations end up this way.
Fair enough. He seems like a good enough boy. So just, treat him gently, if that makes sense. We don't want to have a multi-generational schism between Laryl and the Never Embers.
And what's the kid's name again? Out of character.
Raynar Neverember. He's the son of Dagult Neverember. Dagult was the former Open Lord of Waterdeep. A couple of years ago, everybody would know this in character. Dagult Neverember was a extremely popular, kind of populist Open Lord for the city. And then, kind of out of nowhere, Laryl Silverhand, the current Open Lord, came to town. Laryl is a multi-millennia old, rather famous individual herself, and after some closed-door meetings with everybody, kind of assumes something happened, and Laryl ousted Neverember as the Open Lord. Shortly thereafter, Neverember headed up to Icewind Dale and started reestablishing himself up in the wintering north as yet again a populist leader, kind of building up the cities there and solidifying his power up in Icewind Dale. Why can't I remember the name of the famous city up there? Neverwinter. He is now the mayor of Neverwinter. So something happened. Laryl ousted him. He went up to Neverwinter and has been solidifying his power up in Neverwinter. Raynar is his son. And as Yalister said, there seems to be no love lost between Raynar and his father.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Dagult is a extremely famous individual. Raynar, somewhat less so. Like if anybody who is currently from Waterdeep would probably know who Raynar is, but I don't think any of you would have a particular reason to know him besides maybe an offhand mention that he was the former Open Lord's son.
Okay.
And Yalister, at this point, as you express interest in going to talk to Raynar, kind of looks at all of you and says, if you'd like another round of drinks, please feel free to ask Dernan to put it on my tab. And if you have any information here regarding your investigation, either into this or Miss Portier, if you would like to follow up on the maps, I'll be in touch, or you can find me many nights here. I enjoy the atmosphere here. Sometimes there's some entertainment from the portal. I'll send word in a few days just to see how you are. Otherwise, feel free to come back and try and find me.
Of course, House Portier is happy to make waves in Waterdeep.
He says, I'm sure your aunt will be proud if you do.
that, though, it's getting kind of late for me, so I'm gonna go to bed here.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
Good night.
So do you all want to push on a little bit, or do you want to pause here? I'm kind of fine either way.
I kind of think pause.
Okay. So for next session, I know I've dropped a fair number of things. I'm assuming you want to go talk to Raynar and Mert.
Yeah.
Beyond that, do any of you have any specific things you think you want to try and do next session, just so I have some idea of where we're going?
Not particularly. I kind of want to see if we can make it to Skullport, but I also kind of want to go down the Yawning Portal. So I don't know.
So I think plot points that are outstanding right now, because I think you guys have been collecting a lot of potential things to follow up on. There's definitely going down into Undermountain. There's trying to find an alternative way to get to Skullport. There's the information about Candlekeep. There was a rumor that there's probably I think that the Falconeer House, the spirit or power that inhabits Falconeer, had indicated that she thought that there might be a book about a druid called Xanthoria in Candlekeep that may be useful. I think Teresa has a few notes from the Blackstaff Academy regarding kind of investigating what's going on. There's supposedly a dragon living in the harbor of the city. And then Gibbles, I think you have your family to potentially get in touch with. Your great-great-grandniece, basically. So those are kind of the, I think, outstanding plot points we have right now. So does any of that jump out to anybody as something? So, like Lala, you said you're interested in Skullport, Xanthiel and Gibbles. Are there any points there that you're interested in digging into?
I don't think Xanthiel's found anything that has interested her yet. Well, besides that pit, I guess.
Yeah, I think you were kind of tangentially also brought in on the whole weird things happening in the City of the Dead. I know we miss you for a couple sessions, so...
Yeah. Yeah, work is kind of... Well, it does fall on, like, pretty much on all my work days, so...
Yeah.
It just depends on whether I can get back or not in time, which is usually not.
Yeah. Gibbles, are you still awake?
Yeah, I'm open to going to Skullport. At some point, I would like to... Doesn't need to be really soon, but at some point I would like to visit the docks, whatever the that region's called, to visit. There's a family member I was supposed to visit.
Yeah, Elodie Marchand.
Elodie.
Yeah. So I think what I might do, because depending on how next week goes, I might, because you're going to be here, I might put that as like an interstitial thing that happens during a day, and just kind of cover that with you, just to kind of lay out what's happening there, just so that we can kind of at least get that done, because I know I'm kind of like jumping between characters and laying out a lot of the potential things you guys can follow up. So I'll plan for next Thursday, kind of Raynar, Skullport, / what's going on with getting into the dungeon thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds
just
good.
so I have some ideas of what to specifically prep. Not that I don't have most of this prep, but it just helps me focus a little bit. Rio, do you think Alex will be able to play next week or no? Or do you have any idea yet?
She should be able to.
Okay, cool. Well, cool. Thanks, everyone. Hope that worked okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I'm kind of setting up a lot of stuff right now to hopefully figure out like which ways you guys want to go. Does anybody have any like issues or feedback on anything so far? Like anything that's not working for you, or is this all kind of working okay?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it this far.
Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to be a lot more open-ended. So yeah. Anyway, cool. Okay. Well, I am going to go pass out. Talk to you all soon, and have fun getting your truck this weekend, Rio.
Thanks, man.
See you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.